Most people start a YouTube channel thinking that their first videos are going to take off, but what they fail to realize is that the first 100 videos typically are the hardest when it comes to their YouTube creator journey. Now, I've created over a few several hundred videos myself, and today we're going to take a look at why those first 100 videos aren't about going viral. They're actually about learning. Welcome into the channel, everybody. My name's Fareed. Here on Creators Mindset, we're diving into everything that it takes to become a content creator. And today we're going to be diving into a brief presentation talking about 4 key phases as a part of the creator journey. Without any further ado, let's jump on in and discuss why the first 100 videos are typically the hardest. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the excitement phase. And this happens to every new creator. This is when they feel that sense of excitement around creating the channel, talking to their family. This is when they begin to feel optimism. They think about big channels having over 1 million subscribers and how that could potentially be them. And they've also got big expectations. For a lot of people, when they start making content, they automatically assume that they're going to be successful, that it's going to be a little bit easier than it looks like, and that this could potentially be something that they end up doing full time. Now, don't get me wrong, for a handful of people, that will be the reality, but you're going to have to make it through this first 100 videos. And for a lot of people, they quit before they can actually do that. And that tells YouTube that they aren't meant to be a creator. And so in phase 1, the excitement phase, this is when people think maybe one of my first videos is going to go viral. Maybe one of my first videos is going to blow up and it's really going to, take my channel from 0 subscribers to 1,000 subscribers in, less than a week. But again, for the majority of people, that isn't the case. And that's because YouTube is still trying to figure out who you are, who your audience is, and how good of a creator you actually are. So after phase 1, we move into phase number 2, and that's the confusion phase. This is where beginners or creators begin to question things, for example, like, why aren't people watching my content? Is the algorithm broken, or am I doing something wrong? Now you have to understand, it's 2026. There are over, millions of YouTube channels. Probably thousands are being created every single day. And YouTube has to do its own research to not only understand how many of these channels are created, but who they actually serve. And so in order to do that, it has to have a sample amount of data. And that's going to be those first 100 videos. Now, phase number 1 that we talked about is typically anywhere between videos number 1 through 10. The confusion phase, or phase number 2, is typically videos number 10 through 30, where you're still getting your feet under yourself. And this is typically where a lot of beginners, because again, they haven't seen immediate success, they pivot to YouTube itself, which is kind of ironic, to look for creator advice. And so they're looking for things to better understand why they might only be getting 5 to 10 views, why they might only be getting a handful of subscribers, and why people may not necessarily be engaging, right? Which might be liking the video or even commenting the video. But this is as we get closer to that pivot point, which is the first 100 videos. So let's keep things moving along here into phase number 3, which is also known as the frustration phase. So after their first 30 or so videos, they begin to realize that being a YouTuber is a lot harder than it looks. Again, I've done it on my own channel, a separate channel outside of here, where I've published over 1,100 videos, and I did that daily. I literally created a video for a day for about 3 to 4 years. And it wasn't until, video 2 to 300 that I started to see substantial growth with my subscribers, with my engagement, with YouTube recommending my videos. And so for a lot of people that get discouraged in this frustration phase, know that as long as you continue to deliver on a consistent basis, and as long as you continue to deliver value, the algorithm will over time understand who your audience is and begin to push your content out to them. Now, during this phase, this is when creators start to notice things like slow subscriber growth, inconsistent views, and sometimes even videos that get ignored. Again, YouTube is sort of in this trial phase where it's presenting your content to people. It's wondering if people are going to click on it. If they do they stay and watch the entire video? Do they only watch the first few seconds? Are they engaging? Are they coming back and watching another video? That's what YouTube is trying to understand. And the more data YouTube has to answer that question, the easier it becomes for YouTube or the algorithm to then actually put that content in front of the right person. And so during this phase, the frustration phase, this is when a lot of people really begin to consider quitting. But again, I urge you not to do that, because this is right before you really begin to see that growth. And so phase 4, this is videos roughly 60 to 100, is where you begin to develop your skills. This includes things, for example, like your titles. They begin to get better. Your thumbnails, they become cleaner. They become more organized. They don't have as many words. The visual expressions or the facial expressions, if you're using your face, become better, more dynamic. They become exciting. And this is also when, as a creator, you become a better storyteller. So you begin to understand that YouTube is a place where people go to for value, but also for storytelling. People want to feel like they're a part of something. People want to feel like they can connect with you as a creator. And if you have an authentic presentation of yourself on YouTube, that can really begin to draw people in. And then the very last thing here is that you begin to understand who your audience is. And so your content begins to shift to cater to what it is that they want, not necessarily what you want. And the faster that you can realize that as a creator that you're doing people a service, the faster that you'll be able to grow, because you'll really begin to put yourself in the mindset or in the shoes of your actual audience. And so in phase 4, this is when your content starts to get noticeably better. And this is typically when growth happens. Now, I want to take an opportunity to dive into a couple key insights here. And then I want to end off with 2 really, really powerful quotes here that help me as a content creator. So key insights, keep this in mind. The first 100 videos aren't about the views. They're about the skill. I use this in prior examples, but I am in love with the gym. It's something that I do daily. And I realized that when I first started, I had a really, really hard time lifting heavy weights when people that were the same age as me were able to lift those heavy weights. But it took me having the mindset to continue to show up, to continue to improve, to continue to put in the reps. And over time, I was able to not only be able to lift the same amount of weights as people my age, I actually was able to excel and be able to lift more because I was consistent. Similarly, with my prior channel, after the first 100 videos, I then got to 200, 300, 400, 500, all the way to 1100. And throughout that entire process, I continued to get better. My thumbnails improved. My titles improved. I had to really take a step back and put myself in the shoes of the people that wanted to watch my content. And I had to understand that I was not doing the best that I could. And I worked to improve every single day. And so as long as you're doing that, improving in that first 100 videos, your content will get better. And you're going to notice that YouTube really begins to understand your audience and therefore show you support by either recommending your videos, letting them pop up in search for your specific audience. And so keep in mind that this section of your YouTube creator journey is all about learning how to structure your videos, learning what your viewers care about, learning how to create curiosity through your titles and your thumbnails, and learning how to hold attention by actually delivering value that makes a difference. Again, keep in mind that the learning process is eventually what leads to growth. So as we get ready to close out here, I want to remind you guys that most creators think that YouTube is about going viral, but in reality, it's about creating the first 100 videos. On this channel, this is actually the 3rd video. So depending on when you're watching this, go back, look at the channel now, let me know how many videos you currently see, but I'm going to be taking this journey and doing it all over again, knowing that yes, people may not watch this video today, but the wonderful part about YouTube is that if you deliver value, especially in evergreen content, which I'll be discussing in separate videos, those videos could still be providing value to people 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line, all the way till 10 years down the line, because those bits of information, that bit of value is essentially timeless. So in closing, the first 100 videos are where most creators quit, but they're also where the real creators are made. And that will take us here to the end for today's video, breaking down the creator journey from video number 1 all the way to 100. If you found this type of content to be helpful and you want more of it, breaking down the reality of becoming a creator, the psychology, the mentality, and motivation around that, first off, smash that thumbs up. Second, consider subscribing to the channel. And I'd love to hear exactly where you are in the creator journey. Let me know exactly how many videos you've created and exactly what your long-term plan is down in the comment section. That said, I'll see you guys in the next video.